Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. The recent Project Zomboid blog post has dropped, so as always, we'll be taking a look at some of the new features that have been added recently, features that are on the way, and covering the developers' newly announced plans for the future. As always, if you find the video useful or interesting, feel free to drop it a like to help get it in front of more people and support the channel, or you can subscribe for more Project Zomboid guides, tips, and gameplay videos. So let's get into the Thursdoid. Now, usually I do things in the same order as the blog post itself, but today I'm jumping right to the end of the Thursdoid because I just know that everyone is going to want to know about this one. Some of you guys might already know that there has been a mod floating around for a while now that has been teasing its work with underground basements. Some of you may also know that recently that mod was finished. It's called Basements by BitBraven, Konijima, and Pertominus. Why is this relevant? Well, right at the end of this Thursdoid updates, the developers give us this statement. Although it's early days yet and unconfirmed for Build 42, we are also currently spending some time doing some backstage experimentation with basements and improvements to our loot/inventory UIs. If these are successful, we may well see them surface in future blogs. So yeah, there you have it. Not yet confirmed, but your bases might be getting a whole lot more spacious in the future. Alright, so sorry for jumping to the end. I'll go right back to where I should have started right now. The developers kick off the blog post by visiting the recent issues with patch 41.73, specifically for Linux users who were experiencing frequent crashes for servers hosted on these systems. The developers have been working on a fix in 41.74, which is currently available on the unstable build, and encourage anyone experiencing issues on Linux to test the unstable build and report any feedback to them. There's also some advice for you if you do still experience issues with crashes. So there's a link in the description leading to the full blog post if you want to find that info or you're having problems yourself. Just thought I'd drop that in there to help get the word out. From there we get a look at some of the stuff coming in 41.74, which has a whole raft of new additions and improvements that I'd consider more minor. They might be smaller items, but my word, there is a lot of them. I won't highlight them all here, so again, link in the description, but I'll cover the main points. Firstly, we've got a compass coming to Project Zomboid. This will be a physical item that will tell you which direction your character is facing when you hover over the item in your inventory. Now, personally, I thought the direction in Project Zomboid was a pretty simple thing, but apparently a lot of people were requesting it, and I guess it is a survival game after all, and a compass is a pretty recognized part of that. Next up is recipe improvements for cooking. Specifically, more food items can now be combined and added to things like tacos or burritos, which were recently added to the game. Sticking with food as well, we can expect 3D models to be added for almost all food items, so when your character is eating, you'll now be able to visually see the item rather than it just being their hand that they're bringing to their face. There's been some weight adjustments for walkie-talkies, fire extinguishers, branches, spears, and more. So if you go in and think something has changed after this update with the weight of the stuff you're carrying, well, it's probably down to this. A long-standing bugbear for the avid pyromaniac, using a lighter with a Molotov no longer completely drains said lighter. Also, when wielding a lighter as a light source, the item will no longer be automatically lit when you equip it. Instead, it will need to be activated by whatever keybind is used for your flashlight items or via the radial menu. Now, this next one I know many servers have experienced issues with in the past. Previously, PvE servers would have problems with bleach being added to food items. This wasn't directly a hostile action and thus would get around PvE protection rules. Up until now, PvE servers have been using a mod to stop this from happening, but as of 41.74, there will now be a sandbox setting called Enable Poisoning. That can be set to true, false, or bleach is disabled. This will stop one of the most prominent griefing methods in Project Zomboid in its tracks, unless the server allows it specifically. Lovely stuff. Alrighty, so on to the next one. This new update will add new zombies and building stories, which, if you're unfamiliar, are those little flavor events that you'll find in the world built built to make it feel a little more real. For example, the houses that have zombies wearing one particular baseball team's jersey with pop, chips, and beer scattered around the living room to simulate that these guys are enjoying a nice cold beer over a game when the virus reached them. It doesn't sound like much, but these little events like this really add something to games, and was perfected by series like Fallout, where you'd find environmental stories all over the place. It immerses you in the world and sometimes can even draw emotions from the player by connecting you with a story and making those fictional people seem real. Another change to zombies that has been made, we can expect some improvements to how current fake dead zombie spawns function. How that will take shape, it doesn't say, but I think we'll see more details when the update comes around. Also, you know how zombies tend to drop keys for buildings you find them in? Well, that's going to work a little differently now. Rather than a zombie potentially being given that key when they die, zombies instead will be given those keys when they first spawn. What does this mean? Well, you might have to check a few houses nearby before you find the right one for the key you just grabbed off poor Zach the zombie's lifeless corpse. The developers also mention work in progress changes to zombie behavior, including random offset to where the zombies think a sound comes from for an unseen square. Rain increases a zombie's hearing random offset range and decreases chance for zombies to react to player sounds. Zombies will also wander more during heavy rain. There's a disclaimer here that this may end up in build 42 rather than the next update though. The last thing I did just want to mention is that there are changes to how car alarms function in the game. The developers mentioned that currently they are an extremely rare threat, so we might see this become more common in the future or perhaps draw a lot more zombies. I'm not sure on this one, but all the same it is something to be aware of. That's it from me in this video, but again there's a link in the description to the blog post if you'd like to see all of the features the devs will be adding in the next update. And once again, a very special thank you to all of my patrons who have joined me on our whitelisted Project Zomboid server, which is starting a stalker themed wipe as of September 1st, which we are incredibly excited about. Link is in the description if you want to join them. Thanks guys, and I will see you all in the next one.